Well, howdy, howdy. This is Cubby Potamus, and it's a great day because you are here. um, Now, today I want to talk to you about the idea of proxies. Um, and what is a proxy? For our purposes, a proxy is something that you do as a substitute for something else, right? Um, like a money, for example. Well, it's a proxy for value, right? And, money it's a symbolic thing. It's just something that everyone agrees is worth something, but the paper itself is just paper. It's a proxy for that. And so there are things that are proxies, like money is to value, but they're also proxies in the way that we search for what we want to get, right? I would think of like marriage being a proxy for just finding happiness and love with someone. It's something you try to get to find the happiness and love because you assume that's where you're going to get it at, right? It's a proxy. And sometimes we want to get attention through other ways, and the attention seeking behavior is kind of a proxy for what you're getting at, right? If a girl wants love but offers her body, she's kind of using that as a proxy for that, an indirect way to get something that you want, right? And we need to take this idea of proxies, and apply it to people's goals in life, the standards they set that they're really looking for, right? And we need to understand that people are really looking for something and they're not looking for the proxies, right? So you deliver what they're really looking for is more important than delivering the proxy. See what I'm saying? So, for example, a girl might like guys that are tall, that are bigger than her. But she might find a guy who's just 5'8", who is very masculine and carries himself in a way that makes her feel the way that that a tall guy would make her feel, right? She's saying that height is a thing, but what's behind that desire for a tall guy? It's that he can hold his masculinity in a way that makes her feel feminine, right? And it's that feeling, right? Um, Someone might want professional friends, or educated friends, or this or that, when they want expertise in something, right? Or to find competence in that, and well, what does that mean? Well, I think for practical purposes it means that you can deliver to them what they're looking for in a proxy without it, right? If you can say things that are true and accurate and work out in real life, that's what people are looking for behind a degree, right? If you can make people feel good about themselves, right, and make them feel you people with them, that's more important than relationship statuses or, being able to say they have a lot of friends, because that's what they're looking for. It's just real connection, and people they really get with, right? And we need to understand that, their perception is more important than the reality, right? It's not about being accomplished as much as, or being, whatever, as much as it's about making them feel like you are that way, right? And so you go after the root of the issue, right? Instead of giving gifts, kind of as a proxy for friendship, give them warmth, and, if the gift is intended to curry favor with them, or, you think that, that'll make a difference, well, they're probably more interested in just you making them feel good, right? The gift is a proxy for good feelings. You assume if you give it that'll make them feel good. Well, you're better off cutting the middleman, right? People go off on careers, and have whole life paths, kind of trying to get at things in a roundabout way, that you can skip if you go more directly to, right? So, it's about perception more than reality. What they see of you is going to determine how they act towards you, right? It's good to have the facts on your side, but you'll get judged on how people see you, how they perceive you, right? And so the trick, I guess, or if you could even call it that, is getting them to see the parts of you that are desirable to them, that are hidden in you. I know you can. It's getting them just to see the passion, that they're just looking for, right? Getting them to, I guess, just feel good and respond to their emotional needs, rather than the things that they go about in a roundabout way to get it, And likewise, we can address our own needs, if we directly go after that, right? So if you want to people and enjoy talking to people, you really don't have to get a degree, right? Or you lose weight or do a million things, you just provide the psychological comfort they're looking for and the affirmation, and that gets around to it a lot better, right, than trying to make yourself change for them, but you just go straight to their, needs and wants, So in life, always try to get down to the core, get down to the real hunger and address that is the most effective way, because it's direct and it's the easiest way to deal with things, right? When you get to the core, you got to understand how things work, and you can save yourself a lot of work and make progress, in your people and in your life, and living the life that you want. Okay, I don't know if this one was any good, but yeah. This was Cubby Potamus, and maybe I'll see you around sometime.